Welcome to midweek of my week 29 Mounjaro weight loss journey. My name's Ginger and this is my channel Ginger Goes GLP-1, where we talk about all things GLP-1, and in my case specifically that's Mounjaro. I'm currently on 7.5 milligrams of Mounjaro, and I have been this is my 13th week on 7.5 milligrams. So this week's episode is if you are thinking of moving up a dose, or when is it time to move up a dose, or what is your sign to move up a dose, whether you're on 2.5, 5 milligrams, 7.5, 10, 12.5 milligrams, you have somewhere to go. You can go up a dose. When you get to 15 milligrams, you are maxed out, you are topped out, you can't go anywhere else except down and potentially start again. So that's what I wanted to discuss today. There's quite a lot of chat about doses at the moment and scaling up a dose. There's a lot of people doing sort of like interim doses or intermediary doses, like 3.3 as opposed to 2.5 or 5 milligrams, or 6.5, 8 point something I think there is. So there's a lot of people that are doing sort of like a dose and a half. Now, I'm not making that recommendation. It's not something I've done. And if you want to do that, there are plenty of other people that are putting out how to calculate the doses by using the number of clicks on your Mounjaro pen and sort of doing calculations on how often you can take that dose. Now, like I said, that's not something that I'm doing, not because I'm not interested in it. It's just I know myself and I know what works for me, and I'm better at the 7 days, and I like the 7 days because I do get 2 days of hunger, and that 2 days of hunger allows me to manage my hunger myself mentally. And I think that's part of my weight loss journey, is learning to manage those hunger cues, taking the time to make good choices when I get those hunger cues, and recognizing possibly the impulse to overindulge, to overeat, or to eat bad food, but then apply my own willpower or enjoyment of the fact that I've lost so much weight and I'm feeling good to be able to resist that temptation. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. There's quite a lot of chat. I've seen a lot of comments going around. I've seen people posting in other people's vlogs about how to dose up, how to split doses, how to do those interim doses, microdosing, 10-day dosing, 5-day dosing, all those different kinds of things. So I know there's a lot of interest around that. Now, I'm not going to go into all of that. Like I said, there's plenty of people that are doing that. You can find some information out there. So go look for those, and if that's what you want to do. But I want to talk about me and what I've decided to do sort of dosing wise, and when I think for me it's going to be time to go up a dose. So before I do that, I'd like to ask you, if you're enjoying this video or you enjoy my videos in general, could you please give me a thumbs up for a like? Please subscribe. I am only a few subscribers away from being able to allow myself to buy the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which I want to take to Chicago with me. And I've given myself a goal to reach by tomorrow, Thursday. So if you're not subscribed, you do watch me regularly, please do hit the subscribe so I can just get those extra few subscribers and hit my goal so that I can get that camera and hopefully do better vlogs for you while I'm in Chicago. Of course, if you want to leave me a comment, I will answer all comments. I am a little bit behind again because I am just trying to keep up with work, because tomorrow's my last day. Thank goodness, for 3 weeks. So I've been flat out at work. So I am behind on comments. I'm hoping to do them tonight. So if I haven't answered you, I will be coming to you soon. On that note, I am using my notes here today because I can't hold a thought straight in my head at the moment because there's so much going around, from packing to work to what I'm going to eat for dinner. I'm emptying out the freezer. You know what it's like when you're going away. There's so much to do. I've got a pile of laundry to do outside the door here that I'm going to run downstairs and do after this while I'm editing. So it's absolute chaos. So while I am losing my thoughts, I'm just going to refer to my notes a little bit more than normal. So why is it important to consider the doses and not just race up through the dosing schedule? You may know that the standard recommendation from the manufacturers or the pharmaceutical companies that make GLP-1 medications is to titrate up every month. So when you start, you start on the lowest dose, which is a starting dose. So they don't class that as a clinical dose, but for many people it is. So for me, 2.5 milligrams, I lost a lot of weight. The next dose is considered sort of like the intermediary dose. Some people call it a therapeutic dose, but the official therapeutic dose is 7.5 milligrams. So if you follow their schedule, you start on month 1, you do 2.5 if you're on Mounjaro, you go to 5 the next month, go to 7.5 the next month, 10 milligrams the 4th month, 12.5 milligrams the 5th month, and 15 milligrams the 6th month. So I'm on week 29. Like I said, I'm midweek, week 29. And why that wouldn't work for me personally is because I've lost loads of weight on 2.5, 5, and 7.5 milligrams. Since Mounjaro, and I'm speaking specifically about Mounjaro, but when I do say Mounjaro, I just take it as GLP-1s sort of in general. But when this was sort of really going kind of viral back in 2 years ago, approximately 2 years ago, and lots of people were starting on it in the US mainly, everyone was following the dosing schedule. So everyone was titrating up each month. And then a lot of those people maxed out around the 15 milligrams at 6 months with still quite a lot of weight to lose. So I'm over 6 months in and I've got about, ideally, another 50 pounds to lose. Realistically, maybe another, let's say 35 to 40 pounds. I don't know. I haven't settled where I'm going to stop. But if I wanted to get to my goal weight, that's another 50 pounds or 48 point something pounds, thereabouts. So if I'd gone to 15 milligrams, if I'd maxed out to 15 milligrams at 6 months, I've still got 50 pounds to lose. And we all know that Mounjaro can lose its effectiveness. So you lose the sort of like the strength or the effectiveness of it. It does tend to weaken and you become sort of desensitized to it somewhat. So I'm on 7.5 milligrams, as I've said, and I can feel I'm slightly desensitized to it at the moment compared to how I was when I started on 7.5 13 weeks ago. 13 weeks is a quarter of a year. So I've done well sort of to get this far, but I'm noticing maybe some slight desensitization to the 7.5. So 10 milligrams is kind of at the back of my mind. Is it time to move up? So that's that's my thought pattern currently. Okay. But why they're thinking about this more now is because so many people maxed out sort of in the early years, got to 15 milligrams, still had 50 pounds, 100 pounds maybe to lose. And then slowly after, 3 or 4 months, the effectiveness of the 15 milligrams kind of started to wear off and wane. The advice has changed somewhat along the way. And now they are sort of suggesting that people do stay on the lowest possible dose for the longest time whilst they're still experiencing hunger suppression, reduction in food noise, limited cravings, and obviously weight loss if you're losing weight. I think that's a really good thing. I think that is preferable, because if you just keep jumping through the doses, you're potentially losing a huge amount of weight loss on the lower doses. So, for example, I'll talk about me specifically, because this is my journey. This is my this is my experience. It is not medical advice, obviously. I'm just some random lady on the internet. Um, so don't take what I say as medical advice, just take it as my experience. And then if you think it applies to you, or it sounds similar to what you're experiencing, then by all means compare my journey to your journey. But it's not medical advice. You need to do your own research. You need to sort of take your own responsibility for your choices and opinions and things like that, just like I do mine. Okay. So I started on 2.5 milligrams, like everybody does, and that first pen, I lost 15.8 pounds on my 2.5 milligrams. I titrated up the second month to 5 milligrams because I didn't know you could stay on 2.5. Otherwise, I would have stayed on 2.5. There wasn't enough chat about that when I started in October of 2024. Now there is, thankfully. So people are staying on 2.5. So 5 milligrams, I lost 20 pounds and 20.8 pounds. Okay. And I was on that pen for 11 weeks, I think it was 10 or 11 weeks. And I did mess around with the doses for the 7.5 when I went up, because I really felt that the suppression on the 5 wasn't there. So I did mess around with, like I said, the doses on the 7.5. So I did 11 weeks on 5 milligrams. Now I'm 13 weeks on 7.5 milligrams, and I've lost 16.2 pounds. So you can see that, like, for the doses, I lost the most on 2.5, second to most on 5 milligrams, and the least when you average it out over the doses on 7.5 milligrams. The flip side of that is I have felt the best on 7.5 milligrams. I have felt it is my kind of like, it's my sweet spot. It's my sweet dose, if you like. So even though my weight loss has been reduced, the benefits I've had from it, the overall weight loss, and the minimal side effects that I've had, have made 7.5 a really effective dose for me. So I've really liked 7.5. I am reluctant to think about moving up to 10 milligrams. That's just me. But it's just, because you don't know what you're going to get. When you go up, you don't know what you're going to get. Anyway, I digress. So if you average out my losses on 2.5 milligrams, I lost 3.16 pounds per week, which is normal, because when you've got a lot to lose, you are losing more in the beginning. On the 5 milligram pen, I lost an average of 1.89 pounds per week on 5 milligrams. And on the 7.5 milligrams, that's dropped to 1.35 pounds per week. So I've only lost 1.5 pounds approximately in the last 2 weeks. So again, but I did say in my Saturday video, I've been incredibly stressed. So I know my cortisol levels are high. My sleep's not great. I'm not eating a lot more, but I'm eating around the 1,400 calories. And anyone who knows me for a long time, sometimes I have weeks where I'm only averaging about 1,000 to 1,200. So yeah, there are days when I'm maxing out my calories, and maybe even going over a little bit. And it's not hunger, it's just everything that's going on. So I'm staying at the moment on 7.5 for at least another full pen. So that's my plan, another full pen on 7.5. Let this holiday get out of the way, let the dust settle, let me see if I'm still losing, let me see if I'm still feeling good, and then I'll consider going up to 10 milligrams. So the main point from that is a higher dose does not mean higher weight loss. I'm going to say that again. Higher dose does not mean higher weight loss. You've got to figure out what's working for you. So you want the minimal amount of side effects for the maximal amount of weight loss with the added bonus of hunger suppression, reduction in cravings, and zero food noise, or as close to zero food noise as you can get. Those are the main things. And then, of course, losing weight. Are you losing weight? Even if it's a pound a week, half a pound a week. In my case, last week, I think it was 0.4 pounds, or the week before was 0.4 pounds. That's still a weight loss. It's still chipping away. And I've lost 53 pounds. So these small losses, they all add up to the bigger picture, you know? So bear that in mind when you're thinking about your doses and, you know, you're panicking or you're thinking, is it time to move up? Don't move up too quickly. Give it another couple of weeks, or give it another full pen and see how you go. These pens are expensive, you know, so even if you are messing around with the doses and like doing a dose and a half, or, you know, like one and a bit doses, you've paid for that pen for like 4 doses, but you're only getting 3 out of it, you know. So something to think about, you know. But all I'm saying is, I think slower is better. Slower is better has worked for me. It doesn't work for other people. And I think that by doing it slowly and experiencing some days of hunger, it's allowing you to start exercising those muscles of using your mind, using your willpower, using your resolve not to overeat. So we're learning a better relationship with food because we've got those hunger signals. If you're eliminating hunger completely, which was my goal in the beginning, if I got hungry, I was furious. It's like, the medication isn't working. I'm hungry. Hunger's normal. Hunger is a normal physical response, and we don't want to eliminate it. We want to have some hunger cues, and we want to be able to tie that in with making better food choices. Again, you do you. You make your decisions around that. But all I'm saying is, long term, if you're going slower, you're learning to make better food choices. You're learning to manage your hunger and understand the level of hunger that you're having and how to eat within that hunger. I think you stand a far better chance of long-term success than people who have eliminated all of their hunger completely. They're dosing every like 3 or 4 days. They're racing up the doses, maximizing their weight loss as quickly as possible. And then they get to the end of it, and potentially they haven't learnt the food lessons that many of us need to learn. Some people don't. Some people maybe, like I said, they've just gained weight over the years, maybe just by incrementally eating a little bit too much. But some people have an issue with food. They have triggers around food. They have psychological issues around food. They have trauma linked to food. And these are the people that need to go as slow as possible, if you like. They're the ones that need to learn the biggest lessons. And when I say they, I mean me. Okay, so I'm including myself in that. So I'm never pointing the finger at people and saying, oh, you're not, you're different, or you haven't done this. No, I'm that person. I've got food issues. I've got, history. I've got, things that have made me overeat that I'm ashamed and embarrassed about. Those are my issues that I'm working on. And by doing that slowly and staying low and slow, if you like, that's helping me get to some resolutions that I probably needed to get to many years ago. So Mounjaro is the tool I'm using to be able to do that. Going back to what I was saying about running up through the dosing schedule, when I apply that to myself, if I'd have got to 15 milligrams and I was doing 15 milligrams, let's say for 13 weeks, and those hunger cues were coming back in, I've now got a huge amount of weight still to lose with maybe minimal suppression on the maximum dose. And I don't know if I would have the resolve or the wherewithal to deal with that. I don't know. I'm learning now, but I'm learning at the 7.5 milligram level, and that works for me because I know I've got 10 milligrams sort of in my back pocket. I can go there if I need to. But if I had got to 15 milligrams, and there is a US vlogger that I'm thinking of that does report this, that they maxed out at 15 milligrams 18 months ago, and they've been losing like 0.2 pounds and 0.4 pounds over the 18 months. So they have still lost weight, but that's a commitment when you potentially could be losing half a pound to 2 pounds each time that you go up a pen, or you stay in that sort of beginning dose where your hunger is very, very much reduced. So there is no one size fits all. We know this. We know this right the way across the board when it comes to Mounjaro. You know, there's no one dose that works for everybody. I'm sure you've all seen people in the comments, and you've watched vloggers who were on 2.5 milligrams. They were on it for, let's say, 12 weeks and lost 35 pounds on 2.5 milligram, the starting dose, not even the therapeutic dose. And I know you've also seen people who've started on 2.5 milligrams, and their first week they've had maybe a £1, £2, or £3 weight loss, compared to other people who've had a £7, £8 weight loss. So there's huge variation there. There's people that like lose £10 in their first week. There's people that lose half a pound to £2. Now, obviously, the people losing the £10 the first week are like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm losing weight like it's dropping off me. Whereas the person who's watched that and then experiences, like I said, a £2 weight loss their first week, or half a pound weight loss their first week, is going to be super frustrated and think it's not working. The difference is their dose might be 5 milligrams or 7.5 milligrams. They just haven't got there. Whereas the person like me, for example, I lost 7.4 pounds the first week I did 2.5 milligrams. I've got to 7 milligrams and my weight loss has slowed down. So I'm doing about a pound a week, just slightly over a pound a week. Whereas that person might get to 7.5 milligrams who only lost 2 pounds on 2.5 milligrams. They might get to 7.5 milligrams, and that's when their big losses kick in. They're 3 pounds, they're 2 pound, 2.5 pounds, they're 4 pound weight losses. So we all have a dose. So just because you started on 2.5 and you didn't have the same rocket ship results that other people did, don't think it's game over. Don't think it doesn't work for you. There are slow responders, and slow responders do tend to lose a small amount each week, but consistently. There are normal responders or regular responders who are losing sort of weight, let's say 1.5 to 2 pounds a week, just routinely. And then there are super responders or hyper responders. I am a hyper responder in the sense that I'm usually always losing weight, and I'm usually losing over a pound a week. And I had big losses. I have massive food suppression. I have zero cravings and usually zero food noise. So I respond really, really well to the medication. Whereas other people aren't. They're slow responders, but by the time you get to about the 6-month mark, I think it is about the 6-month mark, everything starts to even out. But if you are struggling and you've run out of pens, you're at the 15 milligrams, where do you go? The only option is to titrate down and potentially gain a little bit of weight while you go back down through the pens, or stop completely for a month and then restart on a lower dose. That seems to be what the guidance is saying. But not everybody wants to take a month off, I don't know. The research is still coming in. There's still a lot of information going on around this at the moment. So we'll learn more and more and more. By the time we're at the 5-year mark for GLP-1s, there will be so much different playing field. There'll be so many different recommendations, and they'll be aware of what makes a super responder or hyper responder a hyper responder, and what makes a low responder a low responder. And then there are zero responders as well. I saw somebody saying about this. There are zero responders that have no effect no matter how they go up through the doses. They're very, very rare. I think they said it was like 1 to 3% of people who try a GLP will have no response to it whatsoever. So hopefully you're not one of those. So I mentioned earlier that I've got like this little 10 milligram voice at the back of my head. And that 10 milligram voice it's getting pretty loud just because of this week, how bad work has been, etc. I won't keep boring you with my work issues, but there's a lot going on. And I just can't pull out from that if it's stress, if it's lack of sleep, if it's the 7.5 wearing off a little bit, if it's a combination of all of that. But that little voice was just saying to me today, if you just went up, you wouldn't be as hungry. You wouldn't have, like, day 6 and 7 wouldn't be hungry. You could go like a full 7 days on really reduced calories. That's not my plan. That's not my plan. My plan is to go slow and steady. But it's just interesting that it's just whispering away in my ear. It's a niggling little doubt. And I know that I had that on the 5 milligrams when I then went up to the 7.5, because I got sick and tired of the flip-flopping. Shall I, shan't I, shall I, shan't I, shall I, shan't I? So yeah, it's just there. It's I am really, really, really ready for my holiday. I'm really ready to see my beautiful, wonderful, kind, caring, funny daughter and spend some time in Chicago and eat some good food. So I'm just eking it out these last like couple of days until I fly off. But yeah, it's there's a lot going on. There's a lot in my head, and I think I need just to clear all of that before I make a final decision. But this has turned into a bit of a waffly rant, so I'm going to cut it off. If you've stayed with me this long to the end, like I said in the beginning, please do like, subscribe, comment. I am dying to get that DJI Osmo 3, Pocket 3. Thank you, Creative Dream B, I think your name is, who gave me the name of it, Dream Creative B. Anyway, thank you for your comment. And yeah, I'm just wanting to get to that magic number. So if you can, like I said, subscribe. That would really help. So right, I'm going to leave it here for now. I've done my bit for tonight. This is my midweek musing, week 29, heading into week 30. I still have got my week 29 update, and I have one midweek musing in the bag for while I'm away. And I need to get another one for the following week so that I can come back here weekly. But if you have watched to the end, thanks very much. I really appreciate your support, and I hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you in the comments.